A chance to say hello to you guys. We see Melonic here and Dalek sniffing each other out here as the Dalek's in the bush here. Melonic's going to walk in, get a nice little Q here. Didn't quite get the auto passive. Rude dude, what are we thinking? You can see the draft a bit more clear now.
Yes, we can see all 5 champions now. Obviously, pick
Indeed.
order is not necessarily showing itself, but what we did think was going to be the case, and that we've seen already kind of happen, is those enchanters in the bot lane starting to rise in prevalence. Ezreal Karma as the bot lane 2v2, certainly going to be fairly dominant early on. You can see from both of the carries, Jekyllad and Inax from GameWard opting into that cleanse, owing to the fact that there's a great big ult from Renata that's going to come through, and similarly from Peng, the Cactus Order, same thing that needs to be dodged away from, or at the very least out of. We'll have to see how much value those get later on. Of course, early game, not the greatest capabilities, you're cleansing away and ignite, but top side as well. The Ornn blind, it looks like, into a GP matchup should be fairly dominant for GameWard. Melonic is looking very good on this in week 1. Let's see if that dominance continues.
Yeah, indeed. And you spoke about the it's becoming a meme at this point between us, but the level 1 with the GP, he did manage to get into that burst, get a little bit of that aggressive trading off. So in your eyes, game probably already over, no?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, GameWard have already won. They were able to use level 1 GP trades, and that's why it's important to get that ward, is so that GP can get in range for the auto attacks and start to use that trial by fire, get some really good trading down early on for the Gangplank, and start to hopefully open up some windows of advantage in the health.
Yeah, I think another thing just off the bat that we haven't really touched on is the Nocturne. It's not something we've seen a lot recently. Is that something you can see being on 12.10 teams utilizing a lot? I'm not entirely sure how much stronger it is.
So, Nocturne in this composition specifically, I think has been taken as an answer to the Ornn, or whether or not that was picked first or second, I don't really know. But you see Ornn coming through, you turn off the lights, you call Paranoia, and you don't necessarily go in on it, but you just stop any engage that Oplon are going for. I think that in this one, it's kind of a measured disengage style of Nocturne that we could end up seeing. Whether or not there's obviously a little bit more, you can always go forward if you're winning, and bot lane is certainly doing that for GameWard right now.
Yeah, Camellia is constantly going in for these nice little short trades you can get with a Karma. It's one of the more dominant enchanters, if not the most dominant enchanters. You see it constantly being banned, or having a banned presence, as well as like Lulu as well. But they're definitely utilizing it to its maximum efficiency right now in the GameWard bot lane.
Yeah, Karma just such a strong bot lane support, really good at finishing early stages. Dalek.
Oh, Dalek might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew here. And he is stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's a first blood for Melonic there. I think he put down the pillar Eid and took a turret shot one too many there. It's slightly embarrassing for the Oplon top laner.
Gifted for Melonic. That's probably the best way of putting it. And his wave is in a really good spot as well. He can try and hold this outside the turret. Now Oplon are going to need potential jungle support, but you can see Shenfai's on the other side of the map. This is going to be a very rough laning phase for Dalek. He'd already lost a cheater recall, so Melonic had gone back to base, found a window to get back to the lane with that extra Keyblade, so nice little bit of combat power ready and available. And you can see, right, level 5 to level 4, his wave is bigger, so this advantage in the top side, something that we were looking to see is defended by Oplon, something that we really didn't want to happen, and something that you don't tend to see up against an Ornn already, really going the wrong way.
Yeah, completely. And one of the things that we characterized in that week 1 for Oplon is the difference between day 1 and 2 in terms of the signs of life they were able to show was these solo lanes not falling apart at the seams. And with that happening so early, it's a worrying sign for Oplon.
Particularly when you know that this bot side of the map is going to take a little bit longer to have dominance. Karma and Ezreal as a bot lane duo tend to be able to establish priority and establish a CS lead, lane control, regardless of any matchup that they're up against, unless it's particularly dominant. But Ezreal are certainly not up to that standard. So Oplon needed to bide their time a little bit in the early stages, allow for Shenfire to maybe get some moves out onto the map, but that has really not been the case.
Yeah, Shenfire going to have to anticipate the dragon going down here. He might go aggressively here. He's trying to get into range, though, but he's going to get almost chained up there. It's going to be a dragon early for GameWard. They use the priority they had in that bot lane. We saw the Karma and the Ezreal constantly pushing in. They transition that. They know that nothing's going to come in response. Good early dragon from GameWard.
Yeah, and that bot lane prio just hemorrhaging over into an ability to find the first dragon. Nice little advantage for GameWard. Good window for Akabane as well to go for it. Only had his Krugs up, so can now, finish off his jungle clear, go back to base, get himself potentially another set of long swords. He's already got those tier 2 boots, which is going to be very nice for the Nocturne. That first ulti, getting it cycled down a little bit faster. Obviously, what you're going to be wanting, seeing more paranoias, more map movement at level 6 marker that Nocturne so belovedly desires, going to be even more dominant when it gets finished.
I'm going to test your metal here, or potentially your knowledge. Durability patch with all the resistances changes. Is Mountain Dragon, especially early, more or less valuable?
Mountain Dragon early? Mountain Dragon depends on your bonus resists. With nobody really building them, doesn't really do anything. Durability patch or not, because nobody tends to build them. Does that make sense?
You're teaching me. Yeah, you're teaching me. This is like a maths lesson. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. The way that the difference between bonus and base resists, it's also a thing with AD fairly prevalently. Basically, since nobody's built up any cloth armors or null magic mantles yet, the Mountain Dragon won't have too much of an effect. But when we start to see, particularly Dalek this game, I suppose, build those resistances, potentially a set of defensive boots for some of the carries on GameWard, that's when you're really going to see the Mountain come through. So overall, the early game dominance of a Mountain, not particularly relevant.
More of a hill dragon at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for teaching me that, Rude Dude. You've got more patience than any teacher has ever shown me. So.
You're not worried. Patience is a bit of a virtue of mine, I'll say.
It is a virtue indeed. Were you an easy to teach kid growing up?
Yes, I taught other kids as well.
Really? I was the one that annoying. I hate that. That's annoying. Were you like doing that out of a sense of personal responsibility, or more of just being annoying?
So we had a split teaching. So basically, our maths classes were split between boys and girls. We had a boys class and a girls class. And the girls kept on beating the boys because the boys teacher was bad, so we took it upon ourselves to teach the other kids. Oh,
so it became like a personal competition. Speaking of personal competition, Shonefire facing off against the Rift Herald on the top side. Twist looking aggressive onto Inax, who's been left on the island. It's a similar position we've been seeing in a lot of these games. Peng going to find his way out of here, but Malonic and Akabane have shimmied their way into this Rift Herald, and what looked like a completely controlled zone for Oplon has now been completely turfed, and they're going to be getting the Rift Herald in response.
Your important things to look at here, is the minimap and that bot lane in particular. Camilius made his way up to the top side of the map, where Twist and G-Core still down in that bot side. Yes, they're punishing. Yes, they're trying to find a bit of an advantage 2v1, potentially getting plates in onto G-Core. But overall, it is going to be a trade that is favorable for GameWard.
Yeah, difficult to punish against this Ezreal. That's why we see it being such a prevalent pick. A lot of teams, you see, they actually punish it with the Kalista pick, with the Kai'Sa pick. They can actually do something. Felios not traditionally that pick, and you see the Karma move up there and is back in a flash. Not enough advantage being able to be gotten there in response to the Rift Herald for Oplon.
Yeah, because the expectation is that you'll get at the very minimum 2 plates from that Rift Herald. If we look at the opportunity cost for them, GameWard only lost 1 plate down in the bot lane that was split between both the support and the AD carry. So, so far, Oplon come out on top with that, but we're still waiting to see what that Rift Herald can do, because with level 6 on your Nocturne, now level 7 in fact, Akabane can certainly make it more than just 2 plates if they find a kill in a lane.
Yeah, completely. And I wonder where it's going to go. I feel like you don't necessarily need to put it into that bot lane. It's not really where you're going to be investing these resources. With an accelerated gangplank already, I wonder if it's the case that they potentially put it towards that top side.
They have a lot of options. There's arguments for sort of everywhere that you can, be accelerating your gangplank a little bit more, get him to that mythic and crit a little bit sooner, get it into the mid lane because you know that trying to take a turret versus a Lissandra is very difficult, or you put it down in the bot side because it's going to be very difficult to try and find any plates down in that bot lane because you've not given any priority over to it. There's cases to be made for all of them, and now G-Core mid lane, go for Checolad.
Oh, Oplon. And Peng, I think he just about got clipped there by a charm that meant he couldn't reactivate the E. Otherwise, Checolad, I think, would have had to burn both sums there. That was it was either very lucky or very good from Checolad. You can take your decision there.
Yeah, good charm stopped Peng from taking the glacial path forward, and then also, I don't think that G-Core used Gravitum Q, so it doesn't force the cleanse, and I don't think the flash is ever really threatened there. particularly when you've got cleanse and then 2 extra spirit rushes. So that's 1 cooldown down from your Ori. You've now got to try and find more opportunities.
Ooh, Peng gets a flash from Camilius there. He's able to reactivate it that time. And they're going to be going on towards the dragon now. The Ornna's teleported back to base, so you won't be seeing any assistance. It's teleported back to the top lane turret, sorry. And I don't think there's going to be any resistance. It's going to be instead Akabane moving towards these topside camps. Trying to take away some resources in that regard.
Yeah, gonna steal away a Raptor camp. You have an Ocean Soul then for this next game. And then, you know, Dragon for topside camp. Overall for Oplon, fairly decent. Nice little setup using this Lissandra to its good prior.
Ooh, Shurnfire gets charmed over the wall here. Akabane ults in as well. He's gone very low. Inax's ultimate. Can he find it here? Yes, he can! Shurnfire goes down. The prescient sniper Inax from GameWard finds a kill for his side after multiple ults were burned. You thought maybe Oplon had walked away, but not quite at the end there.
Yeah, really nice cross-map play from Inax, able to find that kill, and that's in a numbers disadvantage really overall for GameWard. You can see Twist made his way over to that top side to try and, or to that mid lane rather, to try and stop anything from happening. And given that they're not able to do that, they now get a little bit of time down in this bot lane where they're going to put a Rift Herald down here as well, despite the fact that Inax hadn't really received too many resources early on. They're going to use this Herald to put a little bit more gold into your Ezreal.
Yeah, this was his reward, right? I said earlier I didn't think the Rift Herald would go bot lane because they'd put him on an island. He lands that great ult and he say, you know what, Inax, we're going to give you this Rift Herald.
You've earned
it's a nice little reward for him there. Yeah, you've earned this one.
You gave me time to well, not even steal away any camps, but you gave me a better KDA than the enemy jungler. Therefore, you deserve this camp right now.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agree. We're going to be heading towards a Soul, to an Ocean Soul. And what do you think Ocean Soul, how does it enable both of these teams? How does it plug and play?
When you have a tank, Ocean Soul tends to do work. Obviously, it takes a large amount of time to try and cut through the Ornn, and with that Ocean Soul well, Oplon are going to be looking for that and making the Garlic a fairly immovable object in this match. The question really becomes, can he get that Drake, or can they get that Drake Soul in time? When we're looking at the composition, the composition is very much dictated around finding that first kill. They do have a fair few resets with the Lissandra passive, with the Viego passive as well. If you get that first kill, the teamfight becomes a lot easier for you. So the Ocean Soul for GameWard may not mean too much. It really does come down to, can Oplon find that kill in the first 5 seconds, or does the Ocean Soul really start to have an impact?
Absolutely. So far, what do you think is the next kind of... It's got to be that next dragon whereby we're seeing the battle lines being drawn in this game, because otherwise I don't really see many, apart from the occasional Lissandra pick. How does Oplon find a way to kind of, well, find their way back in the game, I suppose would be the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I think Rift Herald 2 is an opportunity, is a bit of a window.
Oh, it's a heal burn from Zikor here. He tries to find the Gravitum. That's going to be the cleanse belt and burn in response there by Inax. I like that they're trying to find something.
Yeah,
the fight's not done yet for Oplon.
And now with no cleanse, it does mean that you're open to a hostile takeover from Twist. If that happens to come through and you find the window to find a gank down in the bot lane, you have got that slightly easier of execution against GameWard. Obviously, Inax still has Flash, still has Arcane Shift, fairly readily available. Not going to be the easiest thing to go for.
I feel like going to get ulted here by Peng. Peng has to get out of here.
Oh,
as Q goes wide. Slightly. I'm not quite sure he would have had enough damage anyway, but there's going to be the ultimate burn in response for the cleanse. Akabane did have ultimate as well. I don't think he could quite find the range. Yeah, this is going to mean this bot turret gets... this is going to be dangerous for the bot turret. It's quite low.
Yeah, I think the bot turret may well just be gone. Ezreal's W now, of course, able to dish out a little bit of damage to those turrets, and with Twist and Zikor taking slightly staggered recalls, I don't think Twist can step... Oh, I don't think Zikor rather can step up through this wave with Akabane seen on that ward. You don't want to give the sort of 3v1 opportunity, and really just from that Herald and then good sets of 2v2s, GameWard able to come away with that turret, with that first brick in their favor. So overall, just really nice from them.
Hello, Rift Herald. Just let the producers there letting us know that the Rift Herald is in fact there. Yeah, quite nice.
Spawned up, having a nice old time. Not yet being taken down, about 4 minutes until teams need to make their way over toward it. And with that turret having been felled in the bot lane, it opens up Inax and Camilius to move around the map, get up to that top side, and potentially start to take that Herald as well. You can see Melonic already down toward the bot lane. He's got Triforce. He's got the ability to one-tap minions with the barrel and the Q. So overall, GameWard in this state are very happy with where they're going, what they can got to do is keep on farming up. They do have a really good late game set of carries in the Ezreal, in the Gangplank, and good answers to the pick tools that Oplon are going for. We mentioned how the Darkness, Paranoia can be used to stop on engages, and actually a little bit extra as well with Peng looking to try and find those engages. If he can't get into the backline so easily, use that Paranoia.
Interesting to see that they're putting such heavy priority onto this second Rift Herald. It's not necessarily something you see. You see a lot of teams forego it almost to build that Drake advantage. They're obviously going for it. I believe might be to try and open up some of these side lanes for the Gangplank to further be able to move up and beyond enemy lines. But should see Oplon in response pick up that second dragon. What do you think about this decision from GameWard?
I like that they're prioritizing getting gold. I think that they know that they're in a position where in 5 minutes time, when the Drakes are particularly important, they'll be able to contest. This is a pretty big commitment from Oplon though. They didn't spend enough time down on that bot side, and I think GameWard are going to contest this here.
Melonic is here, has the ultimate. Ezreal gets an ultimate dashed onto Dalek. Flash away from Gangplank means that he is going to get taken out, but rather slowly. Akabani has the darkness now. He goes on to Lissandra. Can he find it? He's going rather low as well. Dalek trying to do as much as he can. Peng goes forward. He gets taken out as well. Shekelat has a reset here. It's massive from Akabani. It's massive from GameWard. They get the dragon and 3 kills to boot.
Just too slow from Oplon. They waited so long to go for that dragon, and they can't get it. They look for a fight after the fact, and yes, they're able to take down Melonic because he's slightly overextended. Needed to wait a little bit longer for his team to get there, but 2 people on the top side for Oplon is just not the resource commitment that you can have whilst trying to take a fight in the bot lane.
Inax is huge now. He's about 90 S a minute now, 4-0. We're going to be backing almost for another item, if not close to it at least. This is how the fight start. Like you say, they turn onto Melonic here, they almost get him down, but the dragon resets, which means they can't even finish it off. Peng off to the side here, trying to get some damage, stop Chekolad from getting into the fight, but it just can't do it. Inax is doing so much damage, landing every Q, and as much as Schoenfire tries to find these resets, the Karma is doing so much in terms of the shields and just preventing it from happening.
Yeah, and I remember last week we were saying 1-1-3, stealing away a Gangplank body, having, you know, really good GP mechanics. Shenfire in that instance, his GP steal away really didn't hold a candle to anything that we've seen from Melonic or 1-1-3 in that match. It was a little bit of a scuffed reset, didn't really get the full utilization of a Gangplank body taken over. So maybe we look to see better plays in the resets in those team fights, but I think that Oplon overall a little bit too slow, and the map read from both sides there a little bit distasteful. Melonic obviously going in a little too early for me, and then of course the Oplon trying to take that fight after the fact was again not quite what they should have been opting.
Yeah, I mean, Oplon has to be so careful with their lane assignments now. When you have all of these inner tier 1s falling down against the Nocturne, it means that you really have to be covering for your side lane members. Otherwise, you can get collapsed on so easily. Renata is behind enemy lines there, gets the reset off eventually. You can see they're rotating as that unit, trying to catch out people in the side lane now.
Yeah, and it is to that point where, you know, maybe Renata's so far forward they wouldn't have expected it to be the case. Either way, though, I think this is total damage dealt in the last team fight potentially, or in the game total on the left hand side.
I think it has to be, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
This is gold. This is gold, no? No. There's no way Zeke... No, you're right. It's damage. It has to be.
That is not a lot of damage for an AD carry so far. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
G-Core second on the tally. Farming up a storm, don't get me wrong, but we need to see that damage now translated, or that gold translated into damage, as Schoenfire really takes the rough end of an Ezreal set of combos right there. Mantra Q as well from Camilius. Certainly no slouch in its damage department. Gotta be a little sad that there's no Moonstone on the Karma. I think that Shirelles is a little bit of a bait for Karmas, particularly when your shield gives movement speed already. The Moonstone certainly can have a fairly decent amount of impact when we're talking about durability patch and potentially those heals not meaning so much, but either way.
What do you think about this collector on a GP in the dawn of durability patch? It's a bit of a sin, no?
I kind of love it, but I also agree that when you're not laning against
is it that I feel like a lot of people are quite like dogmatic about. I mean, they were already quite dogmatic about the item, but surely, like, even more now, they're going to be bolstered onwards to be against it. Is it really as bad as people say it is, especially with the changes?
I think the thing is, it's just not optimum. And when we're looking at these levels of play, we're looking for efficiency, we're looking for the optimal build path.
Ooh.
You're up against an Aphelios and an Renata, so if you find that one bot, then
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to say, wow, collector value was great there. But it's if you can get through that front line, and if you can shut down that initial, if you can shut down that back line, then, it really depends who you're targeting. If you're targeting the Ornn, you'd love to see an LDR. If you're targeting the back line, collector works fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really liking so far GameWard just really choking out the vision setup in the top lane here. You saw them as being a team. They're very good around these objectives, know their setups right well. I think getting this vision line is going to be really crucial in terms of whether they want to pivot towards this next dragon, whether they want to potentially look to set up around Baron as well.
And I think Baron obviously should be their next port of call. We do have a Drake spawning in about 45 seconds here, so they're likely to move down to that bot lane, take out the Drake itself, and then reset their sights on that top side. When you've put so much focus on that top side of the jungle, it really does give you the opportunity to do both. The Drake is such a small commitment, it's not going to take too long to take down. They can just have Inax solo it out and have 3-4 people show presence in that top side to try and keep that jungle prio high. Really just does just depend on where they want to go. You can see Oplon already TPing in. They want to fight for this Drake.
It's going to be Inax landing an ult onto Peng here. He's going to get a lot of damage. He's skirting the lines very efficiently here. Has to E away from that Lissandra E. Melonic lands a triple barrel there onto Shanfire. Doesn't do quite a lot of damage, but impressive to see nonetheless. Going to get position, at least Oplon is get position around this dragon, and whether GameWard can find their way in is going to be another question, but I think they should be able to with the Nocturnal Armor.
This looks like the first starting of the fight. Here they go.
Oh, and it's massive from Checo, lad. It means that Zikor is found almost immediately. Shamfire is living beyond death right now, but Twist has to go over the wall, but he gets taken out as well. Checo, lad, finds the flank. He finds a triple kill almost. We'll have to see how that plays out in a second. Inax off to the side as well. Peng flashes away. Checo, lad, gonna have one more here. W almost gonna find it. One more will do it. Massive flank from Checo, lad, there. Again, your individual performer from week 1. Week 2, he says goodbye to the game for you, Oplon. They're going to turn towards Baron now as well.
And they can get the Drake on top of this, like you say. A gorgeous flank from Checo, lad. Finds a 3-man Everfrost, charms the ADC, one-shots in. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. The Baron's going to go down as well. Very little to be said about this for Team Oplon, and just that lacking of vision, right? That you can't really do anything if you don't have complete information, and you see that it really does cost Oplon big. Akabane didn't even need to be there for that Baron taking. Look at this, is that team.
Yeah, just
right?
look at this. He's just outside of the pink ward here. They can't quite see him. Zikor takes a little bit of a step just for a second here. Nocturnal makes him a little bit panicked. He moves away. They time it so well with the GP ult, so that he clicks away from the GP ult. Chekalad finds it. Game over almost immediately for Oplon in this team fight. Huge from the boy himself.
And the battle lines just were not drawn by Oplon at all. They had Dalek coming in from a flank, was never really able to be that front line for the team. And obviously when your front line just gets completely routed, essentially, with Chekalad moving up to the other side of the fight, it really does look very good for GameWard, and it's always really difficult for Oplon. For GameWard now, their mission should be to break open the base. Honestly, they're so far ahead that if they can get that base broken open, they should be in a pretty good spot in general, and use this Baron to do that. They do have a couple of turrets outside the base to go for first, but you can see they do not care position. They do not care what should or should not be theirs.
Chekolab with a cheeky little auto gets him over the wall there. It was a little bit scary for him second. Does have that cleanse available. Charm lands onto Lissandra. They're really playing with their food at this point. Shamfire, you're nowhere near to even catching this guy. Catch me if you can, says Chekolad in the enemy jungle.
And looking a lot more like Leonardo DiCaprio than he was Tom Hanks in that one. Certainly not in the best position, unfortunately. Checo certainly actually the one to be moving around, taking these nice tricksy little engagements.
Well, the Medjai's as well.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. The Medjai's coming through. Interestingly enough, it's a Horizon focus as that second item. So we're going fairly heavy on that AP route to signify one-shot capability, even though we've got Everfrost. Almost certainly there.
Signify the Sigma male that is Chekolad thus far in this game. I think also important to note is that GameWard's been shopping at the same place for shoes. All got Lucidities in their inventory.
Yeah, they got one good tailor and they told their friends to go there as well, I guess. That was a team-wide decision.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see a bit of a uniform decision being made there, so to speak. We complained about the lack of an LDR. Malonika's done the classic and just said, you know what, I'll get both. Why not? It's pretty standard build. Something that we see quite a lot, but nice to see him having both of them at least. He's going to be absolutely shredding Zikor if he ever lands onto him.
Yeah, porque no los dos, huh? We'll take both of them and see what happens.
What does that? Have you just spoken Spanish? What does that mean?
Yeah, why not both?
Ah.
Collector value. There you go.
We spoke about it a second ago. Didn't even get a chance to really talk about it. Lands the barrel. Ultimate is going to finish Dalek off. And he is not the Mountain Forge. He is rather, you know, pieces of steel thrown into a trash can at that point. He picks up the Ninja Tabby now. You might think second too late there almost. And it's going to be GameWard knocking on the base now. Both inhibitors. And this must be the dawn of the end for Oplon here, surely.
2 inhibitors down. The Baron has worn off, so there is like that slight bit of you that thinks maybe if Oplon can find the 1 in a million team fight up at their 3rd inhib, they're going to be very well poised. But what you can see GameWard doing now is going back to base, resetting, spending all of that gold that they've just earned from all the turrets that they've claimed from outside the base and inside. If you take a look at your Drake timer, 1 minute 10 on that Ocean Soul spawning for GameWard. If they can collect that, pick that up, you think that 1 in a million team fight just becomes 1 in 10 million. It becomes so much harder to take down anybody if you are Oplon. You've got to battle through that Ocean Soul. You're down a ton of items here. G-Core is not a particularly DPS threat right now. 2 items, and they're both more defensive, more mobility oriented. Yes, the BT is great for sustaining poke, but in terms of raw output, it's not what you look towards typically. The Gale Force as well, that more safety-centric option. We've only just completed Twist's Mythic, and you know, we're 27.5 minutes into the game.
Completely agree with you in that regard. It's so difficult. You spoke about the dwindling odds for Oplon, depleting by the second almost. It's almost getting to that point now where you have to take this desperation. We might be seeing it just now. Flash forward gets responded by the Gangplank W cleanse. He's got an ultimate out in response. The ultimate went wide as well. A lot is being burnt here. What can they find in response? The big ultimate now from Twist out in response. Chocolat's over the wall now. Dalek goes low, so does Peng. And at the dawn of responsibility, the dawn of the game, they go for desperation. They come up short, and Oplon are going to be hard pressed to find anything more in this game.
I think that could well be it for the first game of our day. It's a great effort from Oplon. They needed to make that play. Unfortunately, they're standing in a gangplank ult while the rest of GameWard just wailed down on them. G-Core was busy on minion duty and taking a 4v4 in that position. When you've burned so many ults, it's just never going to look good for you. Oplon now with just G-Core alive. He's got Infernum. Can he try and win?
He's going to be hard pressed to sort of do anything here. You've got to, you got to pretend that you're putting up a fight here, but it's going to be the Nexus dropping almost immediately here. Shamfire might try and find something, gets linked up with a quick charm to the face there. It's going to be a decisive victory from GameWard versus Oplon in our game 1.
And business back to usual for GameWard. They came into this split having placed 8th in spring. This is a completely different team. They are 3-0 so far, mounting victory after victory. Granted, this opponent, maybe not the same caliber as their week 1 opponents, but they have looked very strong throughout the